Hello there, happy Sunday, welcome to another vlog. It has just stopped raining and it's about to start raining again very quickly, so we're gonna keep this as short as possible because I want to go and get to a cafe before it starts raining a second time. But hi, if you're new here, my name is Marta. I am an aspiring author currently working on my debut trilogy. I recently finished the second draft of the second book last year, and this year I've been sort of slowly working on the reread of the first book. I want to make some consistency changes. I want to just go through and make myself like a database of all of my world building things and side character things. Like everything's kind of all over the place at the minute. But for now, we're still trudging along with the reread. I'm getting there. I have maybe 7 chapters left. So there is actually a chance we're going to be finishing that today. If not today, probably like tomorrow or Tuesday or something. But I've been away for a little bit. I've been in Spain traveling, and now that I'm back, I'm kind of ready to make another video. It's been a little bit of a while since we had a chat. I think last time we talked, I was on like chapter 8 of my reread, and now I'm on chapter 53. Yeah, so we're gonna go to a cafe. We're gonna have a nice little writing, rereading day outside, despite the rain. Hopefully I don't get wet. And I'll keep you updated on how the reread goes.
I just wanna go out and walk with you. Baby, you know I just like to talk with you. You don't have to tell me anything that's new. I just wanna go out and walk with you. I just wanna see your shadow next to mine, sailing over pavement with our 2 outlines. I like to see the shape you're in from time to time. I just wanna see your shadow next to mine. I just wanna see the same things you can see, understand the meaning on a new degree. Maybe that could happen when you're next to me. I just wanna.
We are back home. I got very severely rained on, especially on the way back, but it was worth it because I had a great time. I got through 4 chapters of my reread, which I was kind of like, I wasn't sure if I wanted to finish the reread this morning, because on the one hand I've been reading it really slowly so far, and I've been really enjoying the amount of like attention that I've been putting on reading it as a reader, the way I would normally read a book as a reader, so a couple of chapters per day. So reading through the last 8 chapters all in one go didn't seem too right to me, but at the same time I've been excited to move on with the next stage of the project, because I have been rereading this book on and off since the start of January. But after those 4 chapters I felt my concentration drifting a little bit. I felt myself getting less engaged with the story, so I did end up stopping sooner than I planned on, and I think I'm glad that I did that. I have another 4 chapters left, so 2 tomorrow, 2 on Tuesday. Easy peasy, and then we can start the next thing on Wednesday and it will be fine. When I say start the next thing on Wednesday, I don't actually know what that is yet, because I have a couple of ideas in mind, but we'll cross that hurdle when we get to it. And after the cafe I had ordered a book, which I placed on order before I went on holidays, and it arrived within 2 days of me not being in the country, so I was a little bit worried because I wasn't sure how long they will keep it for me for, but it was completely fine. And I just went to pick that up on the way home. Predictably, this is an art book because I just don't buy physical books these days, unless my friends wrote them. It's Color and Light by James Gurney, and this has been on my list for so long. Apparently this is a very, very informative art book. I haven't even looked through it yet, but it's so pretty. I'm really looking forward to going through this in a lot more detail and just getting better at art again. I've been feeling in a really artsy, sort of like visual arts mood recently, and I'm really happy that I'm finding motivation for some visual art again. That hasn't really happened quite to this degree in a while, like on and off, but not like this much. Like, I'm really, really excited to do some visual art at the minute. And funnily enough, it's also the first time in a really long time that I'm not working towards a self-imposed writing deadline. I feel like these things might be related. Putting less pressure on myself might make my creative energy feel like it's blossoming more. Go figure. But yes, I am so excited. I've had 2 people contact me for book-related art commissions this year already. And I feel like I want to hone my skills a little bit. I'm excited to make art for other people's book babies, but also I'm excited to make art for my own book baby. And my next project that as I said, I'm not sure what I'm working on after this reread. I don't think I'm gonna be working on this yet, but when I do change over to my spring book, probably in March, I want to make art for that. I am so excited to make art for that book. And it's just fun. I'm feeling so just creatively inspired, but in many, many different directions. One of the projects I've been really excited to work on, and this isn't strictly visual art related, but it's more about making my space look nicer, because I've been feeling a little bit just like I'm just sort of dumping all of my notebooks over here. Like, this is getting a bit out of hand. And part of the reason the desk is getting out of hand is because I have so many projects that are in progress at the minute, and it's making me feel a little bit overwhelmed to look at. And I'm just like, I've done my writing for the day. I think I want to set some time aside for the rest of the day to just tackle some of these unfinished projects and start getting things off my list. One of the things that's been sitting here, literally, this looks like trash. Because it is trash. It is like bits of cardboard from my advent calendar over Christmas that I haven't thrown away yet. And the reason I haven't thrown this away yet is because I've been using the cardboard to make these brackets for a corkboard that I also bought over Christmas, and that's been sitting on the floor next to the bookshelf for over a month. But the idea with this is I want to make a like digital version of these bits of cardboard. Really, I could throw this away. I don't think I'm gonna need more cardboard realistically, but it's still on my desk. But yes, we want to make a digital version of this, and I want to get it 3D printed, and then I want to use this to interface between the very ugly TV stand on my wall and the corkboard, so that I can hang the corkboard on the TV stand, so that I don't feel the need to buy a TV just to hide the TV stand that annoys me so much. And I started this back in early January, and then I got distracted by that writing competition that I talked about in my last video. And like, this just got put off to the sidelines because that was suddenly a writing deadline that wasn't even self-imposed. It was an actual real writing deadline for the first time in my life. So this got completely sidetracked, and I haven't really touched it since. So we're gonna see what we can do with this. I've never done any 3D modeling before properly, but how hard can it possibly be, right? We are currently attempting the laziest possible filming angle I could have picked, on the grounds that I cannot be bothered tidying any other corner of the house to film in. I finally finished my reread yesterday. I'm so glad that it's done. I genuinely really enjoyed the last few chapters, like they were really fun to read. I think I was just getting a little bit tired of working on the story, and I've been a bit hesitant of what to do next, because originally I was just going to do a line edit and like consistency edit, as well as keep some notes for working on later books. And the more time I've spent on this reread and the more time I've spent thinking about it, the more I feel like I need to make some bigger changes than that, especially to Act 1. I think the book just starts off really slowly, and some of it is fine, but I think it needs some picking up the pace a little bit. Draft 5, which is the one I've just finished rereading, currently stands at 127,000 words, which is a lot of words. I mean, it is fantasy, but that's still a lot of words. And most of those words are probably necessary, but I think like I can probably cut it down to 110,000 just by cutting some of the unnecessary chapters from Act 1. And I'm currently just like tempted to do that. I wasn't gonna do any big changes, at least not until I've had more eyes on it. So I'm not sure if I should be doing that, because especially at the beginning of this reread, I think I was possibly a little bit burnt out from writing. So I don't want to make any big decisions based on how I felt rereading this book, because if it felt a bit slow, it could just happen that I was tired. But also, wasn't that the point of rereading the book, to figure out how I feel about it? And if I do feel like it's a bit slow, maybe I can just make some changes? I don't know. Happy Saturday, how have you been? It is a wonderful day, and I don't mean that literally because it has been raining, but it's just, I'm in a really good mood today. I have loads of exciting things going on at the minute. I am actually about to go into London because I'm meeting a friend who is my only in-person friend that actually writes. And I say my only in-person friend. Technically Malin is now an in-person friend that writes, but I met her on AuthorTube, so I still see her as like an internet friend, but I just happen to see her in person very often. This is not an AuthorTube friend, this is someone that I met at university. At the time neither of us were writing. I used to write before university, but then I had like a 5-year break while I was studying. And now we're kind of both writing, and we've sort of reconnected a little bit, and I'm gonna go and hang out with him. And we are actually both taking laptops. I think we're probably going to a bookshop first and just like having a little hangout and chat and stuff, but then we will be doing a little bit of writing at a cafe as well, which we all know I love a good writing date, especially at a cafe, especially with someone else. It's gonna be so fun. I am so excited. And I'm particularly excited because writing's actually going well again. When I first agreed to meet up this Saturday, I was a bit concerned that I would not have very much to be working on because I would be very stuck, because I have been kind of stuck. But I'm feeling not necessarily like I know what I'm doing, but at the very least I have a plan for what I'm currently trying in order to figure things out, if that makes any sense. I decided that I was going to basically revisit Save the Cat, which I tried to read a little while ago and DNF'd because I just find craft books really difficult to get through. But I've gone back to the summary page with each of the plot beats, and I'm trying to map out my story, or at the very least the first half of my story, against it and see how well I'm actually meeting some of those beats. I did not use Save the Cat to first outline this book, so I'm not expecting it to match 100%. I used something closer to the 9-part story structure, but even that I only used very loosely. So I'm currently mapping out my existing sort of outline against Save the Cat. I'm planning on doing the same thing with the 9-part story structure, and just sort of basically look at it in different formats and like write it out in different formats to try and help my brain understand what about it is feeling slow to me and whether it's just in my head, because it might be. I don't think I will necessarily do this for the entire book. I think just the first half needs this sort of treatment, but it's already being really helpful and really fun, I think. I sort of a little something that I can add to the first handful of chapters to sort of solidify some of my character development that's going to be happening. And yeah, I think this is certainly helping, which is good, so we're gonna continue doing it. And then other than the writing, I also have a little bit of a 3D printing update for you, I guess. I I've made a little, I didn't bring it with me, but I've made a little tiny, smaller, miniaturized version of the bracket that I designed with like the printing settings set to be very, very little filaments so that it's like mostly empty, just to like see what it would look like and get a feel of whether I had actually designed something that might stand a chance at working. And now that that's done, we are running the 3D print for the final thing. I'm gonna need to do 2 of them. This is just one of the sides, but one at a time so I can test them. And that's running at the minute. Hopefully you can't hear that because it is quite loud, but I've closed all the doors and we're in a separate room, so hopefully it's fine. Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to putting this corkboard on my wall finally. Like, it's been on the floor for so long, it just belongs to the floor now, but it's going to be so fun to actually put it up on the wall. I'm actually just amazed with how easy designing that bracket was. Like, it really was not even nearly as hard as I thought it was going to be. Which makes me think like maybe I can learn 3D design better, like not necessarily just this like mechanical sort of thing, but like if I actually learn Blender and do sort of more creative 3D modeling, I might be able to do character models and print them and paint them and put them on my shelf. This is very much a long-term plan that may or may not happen and certainly isn't happening anytime soon, but it's kind of cool that I have that option and that that's something that I can play around with at some point perhaps. But yeah, that's printing at the minute. It's going to be done about half an hour after I have to leave, so my boyfriend's very kindly offered to keep an eye on it for me. And then we'll probably do the second one tomorrow. I'm probably gonna be wrapping up the video here. Actually, you'll get the footage from London and like maybe some text or whatever, but like this might be my last chatty update, I think. I've been kind of playing around with the idea in my head of making weekly videos again, as though I'd done this at all in the last 5 years since I started working full-time. But like, I just really like other people's weekly style vlogs, even if I don't necessarily make them every week. I just really like that comforting sort of week in my life, just like talking about writing but also talking about other things and just like a little bit more casual sort of style. I've been watching a lot of content like that recently and I wanted to sort of try that out with this video. I didn't want to announce that I'm doing weekly videos right at the start because I didn't know how this was going to go, but I've had a ton of fun, so I might be trying it again next week. And if I continue enjoying it, I will keep doing it. If I stop enjoying it, I will stop doing it. But something that I basically realized, because I have tried to make weekly vlogs, even just like as a one-off before, and I always give up on them because I always feel like they're really boring when I make them. And I think the problem is that I try to start them on a Monday because that makes sense to me because the week starts on Mondays, and I do not have the mental like capacity and just like energy to be filming on a Monday. Mondays are my busiest day of the week, so then as soon as I don't fail on Monday I feel like I've already failed and then I give up. So what I tried out with this video starting on Sunday, so like last Sunday, and that worked a lot better because then day 1 can just be Sunday and then I don't feel obliged to update you on Monday. I can just update you on Tuesday or Wednesday or something. And I think just taking that into account, like, it will make this a lot easier, and I'm excited to give it a try. That was probably the most long-winded possible way of saying I might be seeing you next week. And in the meantime, I hope you enjoy the footage of me hanging out in London. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.